Hey, welcome to the video. This is just a pre-production notice that I should make and a warning to people that watch this video. If you like 2xKO, that's wonderful, however I don't. The reason being is explained in this video, because this video more so serves as a rant rather than anything else. And basically the vast majority of the issues, if you want to sum it up, is the controls as well as the way it does matches. It's as simple as that. If you want to watch the video in full, go ahead, but keep it real, keep it hype. 2xKO, what a game. It hasn't even come out officially yet, it's in closed beta currently. But somehow it's already been nominated for the best fighting game of the Game Awards this year. I wonder why. No, like, genuinely, I wonder why. Like, there are so many fundamental issues with the game, and in fact I'm going to go into brief detail about them, starting with combat. So far, only one character in the game, Ahri, A-H-R-I, in case I fumbled this pronunciation of it, has an air dash. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if it was very apparent that the game itself, considering all the online matches I have played, especially in the higher grades, are very much aerial focused in combat. Now, you could say, oh, well, it's character specific because she's a lightweight in the category. But then what's the excuse for the other characters in that same class, you know? And it's like, if you're gonna have weight classes for your fighters and you don't want to give them all air dashes, that's fine. But why give it to one specific character? Another thing is that switching characters, in my personal opinion, should be a single input. Right now, it is back and whatever your assist button is. For me, it's the heavy button, so it's backwards and heavy twice. So it being a 4H times 2 isn't a problem, but fundamentally it becomes a problem when what the game does is when you block an attack, it cancels the option to swap for a couple seconds, and obviously you want to stop the player from spamming when they're blocked, you know, because otherwise it'd just be swap to this character, attack, swap to the other character, and then attack again. But the problem is the delay is for even when you're not blocking, it keeps going with so basically if you block, you can switch for 2 seconds, which is fine, but then if you move or get hit, basically it will repeat, and eventually whilst your assist will work, you can't swap characters. Now maybe this will change by the time this video comes out, because I'm planning to get it released by the 1st, and I'm aware that the game is currently having another update with how its mechanics are. So if this changes, then I apologize in advance because I've got it wrong. But as it stands, that is currently how the swapping works. Now, if they aren't going to change the input, which I wish they would, have the input. In fact, I wish the input was like the Marvel vs. Capcom, which is clearly what it's based on, specifically either Marvel 2 or Marvel Infinite. And again, assuming they're not going to switch that over, what they should do is they should have it that successive blocks shouldn't stop the input for swapping, because as I said, it leads to basically not being able to do anything. Of course, block stun is a thing, and that's different, but yeah. Also, this is very, very much a personal thing, but I wish that they would give an option to have standard inputs, or if they're not going to do that, don't make it that the controls are so simplified that some inputs like cause issues when you try to execute them in high level play. More specifically, the DP is kind of in the game, but it's so useless that it might as well not. Additionally, there is a advanced guard in the game, which is what I'm going to call because I think it actually has a name, but you know, basically you block and then it reflects an attack or deflects it entirely. That's in the game, but it's very unclear what the input is. For context, it's block and assist, but the problem is it's unclear in the game itself if you've done it until about 2 seconds afterwards. Like, you have an input which requires you to focus, but you don't have like the immediate visual or auditorial feedback, and at that point you're not really doing much. Additionally, this is again another personal thing, but speaking of Marvel, I wish they would add snapback, because the current way of doing stuff results in people very rarely switching characters unless it's for like specific stuff. So having a way of going like, hey, so I don't want to deal with your character, bring on the other one, if they had it obviously, would incentivize both the opponent and the main player to focus on what they can do to ensure that either their combos or the opponent's combos are to use the best opportunity or to block at the best opportunity. Obviously, I'm not saying copy it exactly in Marvel, because if you didn't know, Marvel's input is 2, 3, 6, and then either assist 1 or assist 2 for Marvel 3, or for Marvel 2, and actually if it doesn't have snapback, so that in Marvel 2 it's that, but just the assist type. And another thing that I didn't write down in my notes but I just recalled is they need to fix the lobby problems, because in my editing of one of my videos for this, it's half an hour long, and there is a solid 30 seconds where I use a fight stick, by the way. It's a F300, but for a solid 30 seconds or so, my fight stick was not being registered, and all it did was just run me into a corner. In fact, I'll edit this in when I'm editing so I can show it. It may not be 30 seconds, but it's more than like 5 seconds. So inevitably I had to use my PS5 controller to fix it, and then the very next match afterwards I was able to use my fight stick. On that, they also need to allow fight sticks to control the UI elements, because currently you can't, because I don't know the reason, but you currently can't do that. You can do it in the lobby, but any like UI elements, like to like menus, how to restart matches, change characters, and all that, you cannot do it at all. And honestly, even if you could, they need to fix the button inputs as well, because they've got J to confirm stuff, I to decline, but that's fine. But those same inputs aren't on keyboard. Well, I is, but J isn't an input to fight with, although it might be because I've messed with a couple settings. But from my setup, on keyboard, the controls are WASD, UI, OP. But again, that might very much just because I accidentally messed with the settings when I first booted up. On first boot up, actually, another complaint I have is that every time the game updates, it forces everyone to do the 3 mandatory pre-startup matches, even if you've done them before. And with the game that's actively being updated, in fact, as I said before, the game's going to have another update soon. It means that every time you boot up the game, unless you're doing it like every hour on the hour, which is very unreasonable for people for them to assume that people would be doing that, means that you basically have to boot up the game after an update, do the 3 matches, which is usually fine, but it's not the point, it becomes nauseum, and then you go to the lobby for the matches, which has a multitude of issues, which I'm about to go into more detail about in a minute. Then you go into your matches, and then like you turn it off for the day, leave it a couple of days, and all of a sudden there's the next update, and then the monotony continues. That might, again, very much might be a personal issue, but the point of it still applies. Now, lobbies. The main problem with lobbies right now, there is way too little space for the cabinets they use. For context, the way 2XKO does online lobbies is they use visual like arcade and TVs. what they need to do is they need to add a feature that's like, hey, press this button and you'll do a quick match without having to worry about, you know, waiting times and all that. Now, I think that's in development, however, I have to double check. But for now, currently, that's the main problem. Additionally, they need to make loading times faster, because as it is, you can wait up to like 5 minutes at the worst of times to find a match, and even then you have to wait like another 20-30 seconds to load into a match. Now, it's not as bad as Marvel Infinite with loading in, I'll give it that, but it's still enough of a noticeable problem that you can basically go get a drink or something and come back and it's still loading. That's assuming obviously you've picked your characters. Another thing, this is just because of I think this is a side effect of the personal beta of anything else, but the fact that the character roster, half of it you need to buy for a beta. Let me remind you, this is a closed beta, this isn't an open beta, yeah? So now in betas, 9 times out of 10, all of the characters are available for a fighting game, i.e. if we take a beta from Guilty Gear Strive. Every character is free, and because of that it incentivizes people to try it out more, because they don't have to worry about, oh well, I've got to buy this fighter pass or this specific character to play just for a test. And due to the nature of that, it leads to a lot of people expressing less interest into SKO because their cool character that they want to test isn't accessible by default. Now, if this was a full release, perfectly understandable, and the fact that they're even testing this proves that there are people that will buy it. However, the problem is that, as I just mentioned, there are people who will not be willing to buy stuff from a beta of a game that is not even slated to come out properly until I believe 2026. In fact, there's not even console versions out yet. So, if they are going to continue with this, they need to provide more free characters, because right now, out of the 8 that are there, 5 of them are currently free to play without buying anything. Now, I'm not saying, oh yeah, they need to add like 1 million characters and make them free for the beta, because that's unreasonable to request of any game, never mind one that clearly has a different motive to what other fighting games are trying to provide. But it becomes an issue, as I mentioned, when people are trying to play the game and they're sick and tired of the quote-unquote basic characters and they want to experience more, and they're expected to pay X amount to access them. And even then, I believe that when you update the game, those characters you don't have to pay for them, you need to unlock them again. So at that point, it's not worth trying. It's basically just a trial within a beta. That's, even then, you need to sign up to access, which from my experience was hell on earth to get through, because I had to sign up on 4 separate emails, and even then 3 of them got declined and obviously 1 got accepted. But the acceptance email I got literally for nearly a month after the game had released publicly on the private beta on everyone else. So that's my opinion. I think there's a couple other things I could bring up, but I can't really think of it. All in all, the game is a serviceable casual game. However, if they want to have a competitive landscape for it, which I believe is the intention, like they have with League of Legends, and I don't play Riot Games. I think the other one they have is Valorant. If it's not, I'll correct it, but I think that's the other game they have that's popular. But if they're trying to get it in the same vein as League of Legends and Valorant, then they need to change up how it works. But they also need to keep in mind that this is a fighting game, not an FPS or a what are they called? Whatever you call League of Legends, I forgot what it's called. I think it's a MOBA. Yeah, it's a MOBA. If they want to take a good example of what to do with the game, they should look at the recently re-released Virtual Fighter 5 Revo. That had a closed beta during October, and it provided the game, and it provided like the majority of the online player experience, and it also allowed players to play as all the characters, but it also kept them wanting to buy the game after release, or after re-release to be more accurate, because of the price of the game, and as well as how of ease of access, because they added cross-buy and all that, as well as rollback. Now, that's it. Rollback for the game for 2XKO. It is unstable more recently than previously. During my recording, I noticed that I was having a lot of rollback issues, and in one match straight up stalled to a halt because the rollback went from a 2 to an 8. And I think I have it recorded, but if I don't, then I will, I don't know, I'll go into detail about it via a subtitle or something I usually do in my videos. But with the most recent update, I've been noticing that more consistently than with the previous update. In fact, you can see on my channel already, I have a video for 2XKO, and it's incredibly stable there. But with recent updates, it's become less and less unstable. I believe it's a side effect of them trying to expand the servers per se and get everyone on. So if they're going to do that, they need to optimize how the engine works. Likewise, it would help if they had more stable server connections, because it's very apparent that the servers for 2XKO are currently being leached off of other Riot games, you know, like more likely than not League of Legends. And due to that, and obviously due to the success of League of Legends, even if you've never played it, you know what League of Legends is. Whether or not it's a good thing is up to you. But yeah, what they need to do is fix that up, and also do a lot of my suggestions, and also add more characters, even if you got to pay for them. 8 so far isn't exactly a good roster list for an closed beta. I'd recommend at least 10 or 12, but hopefully they do that before the next beta release, assuming there is a beta release before the public release. I know it's a free-to-play game, but still, these are my hopes. Even though I'm probably not going to play 2XKO for a while once MARVEL Tōkon's beta comes out, which I will be doing a video on, and I'll be doing one that's structured and a video like this, so please keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything now. I'm going to have fun editing this, I can already tell, because I have so much footage to overlay. But yeah, that's everything. Keep it real, keep it hype. The MARVEL Tōkon beta video will be done at the very least by the 10th or the 11th of December. As I said, keep it real, keep it hype. See ya.